cars, but he's now in the middle. Maybe that's, oh, okay, so he's doubling back.
Over the divider again, back on the northbound side.
Oh, dear.
Look at this, trying to carjack a vehicle. He's trying to carjack other
went after
cars
him.
on the freeway. They're going to have to get more aggressive here if he continues this kind of behavior. But now he is trying to carjack these cars on the freeway.
Oh my goodness. A few weeks because everybody is back in school from spring break. So again, we're watching.
Наш первый сегодняшний герой разыскивался полицией по обвинению в опасном вождении автомобиля. При попытке сотрудников патрульной службы остановить его, принялся бежать, только ухудшая свое положение.
He did close his windows. It seemed like it was partially open before, but now it looks like they're closed. So obviously going quite quickly, navigating the 170 north, obviously approaching Sun Valley.
За ним следовали несколько патрульных автомобилей, а он, пользуясь не слишком загруженным шоссе, хотел оторваться от них.
The northbound side of the 5 freeway. So the 170 has come to an end. He's transitioned onto the 5 freeway where traffic is moderate to heavy, but it's only going to get worse the further north he gets towards the Newhall Pass. He's in Arleta now as he looks for any space in these lanes to weave through. It's very dangerous, but I've got to tell you, with an unpredictable driver like this, it's still safer on the freeway than if he was to get off on surface streets and to continue driving this recklessly. You can see he is in a real rush now to get away from all of these other cars, kind of skirting through here, looking for any space, like a linebacker trying to rush through an offensive line there. You can see he's continuing to weave through all of those cars, maybe looking at some of these exit ramps, but he's not taking any of them. He's bypassing all of them as he continues these unsafe lane changes at a pretty high rate of speed.
Continue to watch this breaking news. Again, you're seeing this driver just really making his way through the Pogоня area, but he's been driving at a really quick rate of speed, and the CHP, they've been very close behind.
With us. What can you tell us about what you are seeing so far?
Well, my understanding is that it was a failure to yield or some unsafe lane change, basically traffic violations. And now what the driver is doing is endangering everybody's life by continuing to drive in a wanton disregard for speeds and lane changes. Ultimately, what we found out in these cases is the driver may just have a suspended license or have some warrants for unpaid traffic tickets.
Oh, that would be a shame, to be so nervous to pull over because you're scared about what's going to happen about something. I mean, it's not trivial, but something as minor as parking tickets or expired driver's license.
He's in a lot more trouble now.
No kidding. But anyway, as you said, Bruce, you do see it happen. And also, we do have Chris Christie. He's overhead in Air 7 HD. He's been following along with us as well. Chris, I don't know how the traffic is starting to look, but again, we were saying this is sort of that beginning of the afternoon commute.
Well, he had a rough patch there for a minute, Colleen, as he made his way past the 118 freeway where it splits, and now you can see where the 5 splits, rather, and now he is on the 5 freeway where traffic has broken through a little bit, really stop-and-go traffic as we make our way further north through the Sylmar area and eventually into the Newhall Pass, which appears to be the direction he's headed in, has passed a number of exits but has not gotten off at any of them, just using whatever space he can on the freeway to try and squeeze through, splitting lanes, threading the needle, coming very close, a lot of close calls, but from my vantage point has not actually made contact with any of these cars. And with all of this traffic, you can see them applying a little more pressure, trying to stay right behind him and trying to prevent him from getting too far away where they lose a visual. They don't want to lose a visual of the suspect because right now there are no air units in.
Yeah, it does. In this case, all we know of and what we believe are just traffic violations, which are just that, traffic tickets. Now we have elevated it to a felony evading a pursuit, and CHP, it looks like they're going to hand off to other units, possibly Newhall CHP. But this driver is really just weaving in and out and putting the police officers in a defensive mode because they're trying to keep up, but also they have to watch out for all that traffic as they're weaving in and out.
Yeah, I would just think at some point, You know, we know that watch commanders kind of watch and they assess the situation, but what do you think are some of the things being considered right now as they continue to pursue this driver?
Well, you know, they have to reevaluate this pursuit minute by minute. Traffic conditions. What is the reason for the pursuit? How many occupants? And the safety of the public, the officers, and the suspect. So in this case, they know where this vehicle is registered. They may be registered up in the Santa Clarita, Antelope Valley area. So they may just go to the house and may cancel this pursuit, or they may stay with it until they have an airship up overhead.
Is that one of the first things they do, is run the license to make sure you know, that car hasn't been reported stolen?
Yes, ma'am. That's one of the first things they do, is because they're trying to gain information on the vehicle. Is the vehicle wanted for anything of a felony, armed and dangerous, stolen vehicle, you know, wants or warrants? So they're gaining all that information in addition to the registered owner's address.
Okay.
Yeah, it's stressful, though. Boy,
yeah.
Watching this pursuit, it is stressful because, you know, the I-5, many of us have traveled along it. You see all these big rigs and trying to, you know, we've seen a few times this driver get very close to a big rig. We know those poor drivers, they cannot stop on a dime. So it's got to be very nerve-wracking for everybody driving in this area.
Yeah, and, you know, the other thing that we don't really talk about or think, at these speeds, this is a multiple thousand-pound vehicle, which does not stop on a dime, as you said. And it's basically a moving missile.
Yeah, it certainly is. Wow, we're watching some maneuvering with that car. You know, he doesn't appear impaired, but who knows? We have no idea what he threw out the window or anything. Earlier, he was throwing something out of the window, but he certainly seems to be maneuvering that car pretty well in and out of that. But it certainly is nerve-wracking.
Some more aggressive swerving, guys. If you can hear me, it looks like he has now made his way into the Newhall area, past the Newhall Pass, now committed to the 5 freeway. He did have a key decision point there, whether to get on the 14 or stay on the 5. He has decided to stay on the 5 freeway, now passing Calgrove Boulevard, and again, looking for any inch of freeway. Right now, the best tactic, by my estimation, is to just let him use up as much fuel as possible. Pit maneuver, rather, not an option here. Obviously, spike strips aren't going to work on the freeway, but they can certainly put the pressure on and keep him on the freeway and hope that he starts to run low on fuel. Again, we have no idea what that gas tank looked like when all of this started, but the 5 freeway obviously goes all the way up the state, and they have plenty of CHP officers up and down the 5 freeway and plenty of division offices to hand this off if they need to. Again, time is always on the side of law enforcement in a situation just like this, and I'm sure Bruce can attest that really, at this point, is the best option. Look at this, squeezing through, threading the needle, and some really frightening moments for all of these other motorists in the way here. But so far, he's shown some degree of capability and has maneuvered this vehicle fairly well. It's treating him pretty good, and he's been able to maintain control of the vehicle. Now he's got a large shoulder to play with, and again, that's great news because it just keeps him further away from the rest of that freeway traffic.
Traffic has seemed relatively light, Chris. I don't know what you see up ahead, if it's going to come to a halt, but it seems pretty light for a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, the further north we get through Santa Clarita, the lighter it's going to get. You know, there was hope of a few traffic jams as he made his way through the San Fernando Valley, a couple of freeways joining, and then up the Newhall Pass again, where traffic kind of bunches up on the 5 freeway. But now, the further away he gets from the metro LA area, the lighter traffic is going to get, and that's going to, I believe, prompt him to speed up quite a bit. In fact, we're seeing already pretty close to triple-digit speeds, about 100 miles per hour as he passes McBean Parkway.
Oh boy!
Wow, and of course we're talking about this driver. It appears it's possibly their car because they're driving it with, you know, such fluidity to it. Bruce, I'm just curious about these poor drivers on the road, and you know, many of us move to the right when we see law enforcement coming behind us.
Have joined the party here and they're doing so at just the right time, because the further north we get here, the lower the ceiling gets, and that's going to be prohibitive for CHP's helicopter to make their way up here. In fact, at some point we may run into a wall of clouds that might prevent us from continuing much further. But right now we're just past Castaic as he continues northbound on the 5 freeway. A few cars on the freeway with him there, lots of trucks, as you can see, but he's got some more pressure now coming up from behind him.
Chris, you know, it's always interesting to notice. By the way, I want to correct myself. The side view mirror.
I think I said that first too. The rear view mirror.
Well, then I copied you.
It's
as well.
my fault.
So, you know. Well, anyway, we know it's the side view mirror that is dangling on the right side. But we were just seeing, Chris, can you talk about the CHP? They have a really interesting way. You know, you said, you know, there's 4 of them joining the dance, but it is really a well choreographed. What they do is so well choreographed. I swear I just saw one cruiser fall back, another one go take the lead of the chase. They are obviously extremely well trained, but it is interesting to watch how all these pursuits are different, and you do see it is very well choreographed.
That's right. In fact, you noticed a few minutes ago, it was the primary unit that was an SUV behind him. They have since swapped out. There's now a new team behind him. Now that lead unit is that Challenger, Dodge Charger, I should say, right behind him. So as they make their way up the freeway, again, this started on the 101 freeway. That was likely the Central LA division that initiated the pursuit. Not exactly sure where it started, but we picked it up around Hollywood. And then once he got into the San Fernando Valley, their North Hollywood or their West Valley division took over the pursuit. Again, a new team of officers swapping out in a choreographed fashion, as you mentioned, Colleen. And then once again, as we make our way through Santa Clarita and points beyond, they will continue on the steering wheel almost the entire time. But again, at some point, or just a moment ago, waving his hand at the driver's side window with that cell phone in the air, those lead units still right behind him here. The 5 freeway, about 3 or 4 lanes as he makes his way through.
Наконец-то полицейские находят хорошее место, чтобы разложить шипы. Но преступник объезжает их.
To be there, and look at that. There's the spike, and it looks like it was a miss. Could have hoped for, and hopefully the resolution to this pursuit is just as optimal. Here comes
Еще одна попытка.
attempt, maybe. Does not look like. Yep. Spikes across. There's the spike. And he...
И несмотря на то, что сотрудница патрульной полиции не успевает разложить их, преступник наезжает на шипы и прокалывает колеса. Ему осталось недолго.
I think the patrol car might have gone around it, but you can see that freeway.
We have a replay now.
Покрышка слетает с диска. Преступник не может ехать быстрее, поэтому полиция предпринимает попытку остановить машину.
Out of control, doing a full 180 underneath the freeway, and those CHP units have come out the other side. The vehicle has now come to a standstill on the underneath the freeway. Looks like those officers are getting ready for a confrontation here. He may have gone for a run. He may have gotten out of
Преступник пытается скрыться пешком.
pursuit onto the freeway. He's climbing up the embankment. He's trying to get on the freeway, guys, northbound side of the 5 freeway. Some trucks coming up there, and now he's in traffic. Northbound side of the 5 freeway, the foot chase is going to stop there because those officers will not chase him across the freeway, over the divider. More oncoming traffic here, and this is so dangerous as he comes out the other side. They will be there to meet him on the other side, but they could, look at that, the K9 unit starting to cross the freeway, turning around.
Смотри, аккуратно, парень. Вдоль дорог ходить и еще спутают с кем-нибудь и заставят делать то, чего не хочешь.
The vehicle gave up on him. You saw the tires come apart, the full tire flying off the vehicle, and then that's successful.
But he's now in the middle.
Понял, что бесперспективно. Денег, может, и заработает, но потратить не успеет. Решил попытать счастье и попробовать себя в роли автостопщика.
Cars on the freeway, they're going to have to get more aggressive here.
Не сложилось и тут.
Where it looks like he's trying to go down the embankment off the freeway,
Okay,
now
under the
going down
pass.
below, and they should be able to meet him.
Придется сдаться.
And there should
Quickly. Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's
They got him.
surrendering.
There he is.
Yep.
up in the air. Right, David, there were so many hiding spots under these overpasses to hide out, but it looks like he's come out the west side of the 5 freeway. He's now being confronted with a taser with his hands in the air. He's on his knees. Not
А этот парень решил угнать грузовой тягач и поводить хороводы с местной полицией. Который раз убеждаюсь, если угнал трак и за тобой организовались парни на машинках с мигалками, лучше сразу сдаться. Стройно идут, как птицы на юг. 100% едут за ним и ржут с этого карджекера.
Other ones coming in to join that chase, and again, other officers from the California Highway Patrol, and I would even venture to say other law enforcement, as we're making our way through different cities, they're going to be kind of getting that heads up as well. They'll probably...
Thankfully, not a lot of traffic there, but as you mentioned, this stolen semi-big rig, obviously going kind of freeway speeds, but picking up speeds at time, because it was going almost...
Съезжает с трассы. Я юркий, думает, сейчас на поворотах, как оторвусь. О, не зря 4 класса закончил. Догадался.
So we're going to be getting out of that orange. And again, stopping. That's something that I was wondering about as well. There was one shot right there. I was wondering if you just did a rolling stop through that stop sign, now taking the center divider. Looks like this driver has a destination. Let's see if it's close by, and then what happens then.
Or they're just trying to figure things out. We often talk about how stolen vehicles.
Нет. Рано я его похвалил.
They're familiar with, but sometimes you just never know. It looks like the driver's side window was down at one point, but couldn't really make much out.
Definitely driver's side window down. Let's just say a large fellow behind the wheel right there. And this is a very industrial area that we're in right now. That was what I was trying to show right there. Let me play around with the camera. We're not going to lose it. You can see very industrial out here. Not a lot of just regular vehicles on the roadway. That truck really kind of slowing down. It's going about 20 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. And here comes a stop sign. Again, if he doesn't stop for that stop sign, that's not just another infraction. It isn't somebody's sitting down there running a tally. The big one is what they're going to go after. This is a stolen vehicle and that driver evading. Again, you just got to kind of wonder, what is the thought behind this driver? It looks like we're going into a homeless area right here. That truck coming to a complete... But again, that driver most likely seeing it. There's the door is open. So it does seem like that driver is complying. Hopefully this will be coming to an end shortly.
Yeah, let's watch as this plays out. Clearly, the people on the side who are spectating and shooting video of this as the driver came to a stop, cleared the way. So here he comes. The driver looks like he's going to get out with his hands up.
Вот так сразу надо было. Теперь пару лет никаких забот. Еду готовят, постель дают, играй целый день в игры. Разве что только на спине спать надо и в душевой мыло крепче держать.
Shirt up, empty your pockets out. We want to make sure you don't have anything that is going into custody right there. Officers from California Highway Patrol taking that driver of that stolen big rig into custody right now.
Я всегда говорил, нельзя 98-й лить, если по техпаспорту 92-й. Потом такое и получается. Лайк, дизлайк, подписка на канал Crimes Day. Вот что нужно делать в любой непонятной ситуации.